talk of.
It was great.
Cool.
It was really fun.
But yeah, I mean, we had a call yesterday, so pretty fresh. And I know, we talked about talent manager and all around that. But can you tell me a little bit more about just your roster, like the people you work for or help? Yeah, tell me more about that pool.
So my clients are all the talent that I represent are all kind of what you think of with traditional influencers. They do brand partnerships, create content across all their social media platforms, including blogs and newsletters, websites, Instagram, social, TikTok, whatever the channels are. And so I help them with all the negotiations, and some of them are speakers, some of them have published books. One of my clients has published, I think, 18 books. Another one has 3 cookbooks. Someone else has a Texas travel guide. So they are, I think, a little different than some influencers that are entering the space because they have some other like forms of media and are more than just social media, which is smart because, if and when social media platforms change, or we've all had a day when like Instagram's gone down and doesn't work, and everyone freaks out. It's like, it's just a reminder that you don't actually own that space. And so having your own sort of digital empire that you own, people you can talk to, you can still communicate, is super smart. So they have like all of them have a pretty robust brand that they've built out.
But did they have like their own career first and then you just happened to become an influencer, or was it the opposite and then they started to release books because they thought like, okay, that's a new revenue channel? What's the case there for them?
So all of them except for 2 are, so I'm 45, so they're all my age and older, so that they have had other things that they've done before coming into this space. And all of them that I'm thinking of in that group, the ones that are older, they started blogs and websites when it was like, what is the blog? And it was like my client Yvette just wanted to have recipes. She was just going to do like a little like Snapfish, kind of just like put some recipes together and kind of like a very nice ebook. And because her daughter, they were making recipes from her Yvette's mom, and her daughter had said, oh, well, like, how do I get these? And her daughter was at 10 at the time, I think. And so it was like, oh, I'll just make this book and like kind of give it to some family. And like, then we have grandma's recipes that have been saved. And it kind of just grew from that. So she just put them online, and then it became this bigger thing. So Lorraine started before this world was a thing. And so they've then had to, like, they did other work while kind of creating online and being digital entrepreneurs without realizing what they were doing and building. Not that they were the ones like at the very, very forefront of creating the industry, but they were definitely in that first wave of, before any of these social media platforms existed. And so had full careers and things that they have been established and recognized in separate from what they do now. And what's interesting is I have 2 clients, Jessica and Ishmael, who are millennials, elder millennials, middle millennials. And so they came up when this was a thing. So they came up and graduated from college, had traditional jobs, traditional 9-to-5 jobs. And they were like traveling all around Texas on the weekends, just trying to figure out what to do and exploring and having adventures and making the most of their time off. And from that, then they were like, wait, we can make this a thing. Like, we can do this as a business. So it's really cool because the 2 kind of different generational approaches to the industry gives me a very different lens. There's a lot to learn from the older people on my roster who've been doing this for 15 years. And then simultaneously, right, there's a lot of just life wisdom and maturity. But then simultaneously, Jessica and Ishmael, they keep us on our toes with like trends and apps and features, new ways of creating content. So like, it's really interesting.
They're up to date.
I love, I love the conversations and how we all learn from each other. It's a really cool dynamic.
Yeah. But then you as a talent manager, you get all the inbound requests. Do you see any difference between that pool of the older people, or not older, but that generation compared to the younger ones? Like, do you get totally different brands, or yeah, tell me about that. Like, what kind of brands do you get?
Well, yes, definitely get different brands, because my client Lorraine Bean, she turned 60 last year, so she gets a lot of menopause and things related to women's health that are obviously just like very age related. But there are definitely brands in that space that are trying to target 55 and up that are also connecting with a younger audience.
Okay.
The difference is usually like the platform that they're trying to do that. So someone who's like a brand that's trying to connect with, millennials, Gen Z, it's like, oh, we're going to go on TikTok. It's snappy. It just like has a whole different vibe to it. And then people like I'm Gen X are, we're, I think, traditionally more on Facebook. We're more Instagram. We're more longer form content. Like it is really interesting to see how the audiences are targeted, like how the different, brands pivot and change based on who they're trying to talk to and who they're talking with, who they're hiring.
But what do you see also when it comes to kind of the goals with the campaigns? Are they also different? Like, I'm just thinking, like, older people, more money, or are they also quick on going in, buying, and all that? Can you expect conversions from the older people?
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference there when it comes to like the goals and the results you get from the creators?
I don't know if I see a difference between creators just based on age. It's more what the brand is looking to do in terms of like raise awareness. Like for example, Lorraine, the older one, she gets a ton of brand awareness campaigns that are, it's like she'll get a lot of health related things. So like it's don't forget to go to your dermatologist and get your skin checked. So that's not like a conversion. They're not trying to point to some particular dermatologist. It's just like a general awareness around something. Or like, it's XYZ Cancer Awareness Day. Go to this doctor and make sure you get your annual colonoscopy. Make sure you get your mammogram. So it's more just like reminder stuff in the health field. And I think the others are more just brand integrations about how to use it, like in food, right? It's like an ingredient, stuff like, or like a kitchen tool. And then Jess and Ishmael, who are the younger ones and more active on TikTok, they have more kind of like, they do a lot of travel content, but it's also a lot of like, just kind of like lifestyle fun, concerts, events, booze, Pepsi, like the sodas kind of the world. Those tend to be more like, you can kind of tell they're looking to be just like fun and in front of a certain audience.
Yeah, they have a different audience. But so you have 5 people now in your kind of pool. What do you look at when you kind of want to hire new people into your, like, when you want to represent someone? What do you look at? When should you even have a talent manager? Tell me more about that.
Because we work off of commission, so we earn all the deals, a percentage of all the deals we close. An industry standard is 20%. Usually it's like 15 to 20%. It is imperative that someone comes in already having work, because it is a lot of, wherever you are in the year, brands are sourcing talent for 4, 5, 6 months down the road already, right? We're recording this, it's July. They've already sourced talent for September, Labor Day, back to school, like anything like that. So I say this because it's a slow sales cycle, and it could be a slow burn. So your manager doesn't get paid unless deals close. And so we look for people to already be established and have a steady stream of income. Now, some people are like, hey, $50,000? Great, let's chat. I look more for $100,000 just because the math on 20%. I have a sustainable business to run. So that for me is how I look at it.
Per year, I guess.
It also in the past 12 months or something. Or the past month.
Even better.
I'm hoping. Yeah, even better. That'd be amazing. And it's not I have had clients do that. Like that's not out of the realm of possibilities. And so that also to me, it's not just a money grab for a manager. It also indicates a couple things. It means you've done brand partnerships. So you already know how to work with brands, you know how to be professional. Okay, you get a messaging brief, you have to turn in concepts, like the whole life cycle of the campaign, you have an intimate understanding of, because for me to teach you that when I'm not like right there and to walk you through it, like it just could be a lot of hand holding. It's a lot of time. So you already understand it, which is great. It also means that you are on a brand's radar. So you have been established as a brand partner, right? Like you have a portfolio of work to say, I've done all these things. Agencies can say, oh, we worked with, Lorraine 3 months ago. We loved working with her. So like we have another client that we can, pitch her for. So coming in as your manager, one of the things I ask for is all the contacts and background on your past partnerships. So I can say, hey, I'm Joanna. I'm reaching out on behalf of Yvette. I just signed her. Like, I know you worked with her 6 months ago. She said it was great. I just want to introduce myself. What do you got going on? Like, can we get 5 minutes to chat? So like, it gives me some leverage to build upon. So that's another thing for me that, that's kind of why I look around, how much money you've earned. Now, that's just the business side of things. I have a small agency. Mine, there's a small group of us. We are very boutique. We hang out all the time. We text, we talk, we do in-person retreats. It's also very important to me that we all get along.
Yeah.
And that everyone is showing up to all this stuff. Everyone is participating. Everybody wants to be there, like I said no to people who could have made me a lot of money, but it was just like, maybe they were a diva, maybe they were entitled, maybe they were kind of rude. As like, if you do that to me and I'm representing you to the brand and now it's like my name attached to it, that also reflects on me. And it's like, I'm very protective of that because that is our currency in this world, is our, relationships and stuff. So, people who are late to calls, get my name wrong, don't follow directions, don't follow basic instructions. I'm like, well, this is how you do business is how you do business. Like if you can't do that basic thing, like you're telling me you want a manager and you can't follow through on basic steps, well, that's probably how it's going to be on a brand campaign. So like, I don't have time to manage your life and like teach you how to do this stuff. So that's something that's like really important to me, just kind of the general vibe of how you are and how you show up. And not everyone's looking for, that group feeling. Some people are super introverted and are like, I love you, Joanna. I love to work with you, but I don't want all this other stuff. And I'm like, well, that's fine, but we're a package deal,
No, but it makes sense because if you're gonna represent them, the idea is to work with them long term too, like not just like 3 months. So it's good to have a friendship there from the beginning, or at least a potential friendship. So it needs to be mutual.
Yeah. I mean, if you're doing a lot of partnerships, like we're going to be talking all the time. And I probably know a lot of things more than your partner just because of how often we talk and all the kind of personal, intimate things you have to tell me. So yeah, I want to like you. Like if you're calling me on the phone, I want to look down and be like, oh, yeah, great. I don't want to be like, oh, what do they want now kind of thing.
Yeah. But can you scale this even more and have like 5 more in your roster and still do the as good job? Or is that when you need to kind of hire more people? Or is it even possible to scale like a talent management company? Or what do you see there?
Absolutely. Yeah. It depends. So yes, you can absolutely bring on more talent. And then at some point you would need to bring on more staff or some sort of support, even if you had someone who just, like some people just have a campaign manager. So the talent manager is sort of like the forward facing, does all the negotiations, responding, outreach. And then, projects and briefs and deadlines and dates and getting content might go to a campaign manager kind of to run in the background. That's what some people do. Or they'll hire a part-time person to help support. I am limited as a one-woman show in my bandwidth of how many people I can hire or how many more talent I can bring on because I don't want to have staff. That's just not the route I want to go. I very much value my freedom and independence. So it is a balance. I could bring on 5 people who all do $40,000 a year, and it wouldn't be that much extra work. Or you could bring in, so what did I say? 5 people, 40,000, that's 200,000. Or you bring in 1 person or 2 people who are each doing $250,000, 300,000, and it's like, you're crazy, Or my current roster could all do 10, 15% more every month.
Yeah.
It would be like, it does get crazy sometimes, for sure. It's like, oh my God, I'm juggling a lot of things, but it never lasts. It's always just maybe a week, maybe a couple of days. And that's the nature of this work, because there's also as equal quiet downtime.
Yeah. But I want to ask you about the brand side, because you get the inbound. So you get all the emails from the brands. So you get the emails where they obviously ask for a partnership. What are the good emails or the good approaches, if you can call it that, that you get that you hope more brands can just replicate and all copy and do more of that? So so to the brands out there that are listening, how should I approach talent manager, or in general, like creators, would you say? What are the emails that you like? I love this. Perfect. Let's jump on a call. And
Yeah. Oh, I love this question. So they get the name right of the person they're reaching out to. Sounds silly, but that is a great first start. To show that they have done a little bit of research. It could even be one sentence like, hey, Johanna, loved your spicy margarita that you posted yesterday. Like, it just got really hot in Denver. I'm so excited to try it out. Like, even just something that's like, oh, okay, you're paying attention, And then, honestly, I would say just get right to the chase. Get right to your point of like, hey, I'm reaching out from this brand. This is what we're interested in. This is the information that I have that I can share across. These, the details, the particulars, the timing, high level, here's what we're hoping, kind of here's our vision, like any bit of information like that. Best case scenario, a brand shares their budget or budget range.
Does that happen?
It does. So yeah, not a lot. Not a lot. But what it does, it's nice, because you could talk a million times about things, but then at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, what's your budget? Because that will inform kind of the rest of the things, So any information they can share about budget, like, hey, this is our range. This is what we're hoping to do. Even that's helpful. What questions do you have? Happy to jump on a call. Can you let me know by this day if you're interested, available, whatever. And then ideally, like, giving the creator and the manager some time. I will often get things that, basically here in the US, between New York and California, there's 3 hours of time zone difference. And so sometimes, emails will land in my inbox at, say, 8 o'clock my time. I'm in Denver. They say, oh, can you let me know by noon Eastern? And I'm like, well, that's 10 a.m. for me, 9 a.m. if you're in California. My creator may be traveling and in the air, and it's like, I can't get to them within 2 hours to see if they're interested, So a little bit more time would be nice. Like, we do our best to be responsive, but those are the best. Like, and then here's my contact information. Here's my cell phone. Feel free to call me. I'm available to chat. Like, those are probably the ones that stand out to me for being like lovely emails to get.
And before you answer them, do you usually vet the brand, just check if it's even a match? And and what do you look at? How do you evaluate the brands when you do like your first look, basically?
Yeah, it's usually done if I don't know them, like if I'm not familiar with them. Either it's regional or it's smaller, or something more local, which depends on a couple clients. They tend to get some more of those than others. So I go to their website, Google them, look at their social media. I will say that's the other thing. When a brand reaches out, if they can sometimes they'll send all this information and I'm like, what's your website? What's your socials? Like, don't make me look for it, because sometimes I've Googled and been like, I can't find it, So That's always helpful. So yeah, I'll do some research and just do like a quick, very high level, like this is a yay, this is a nay. I will say I've also been doing this long enough where for the most part, I can often look at a website or Google something and be like, oh, okay, they're just starting, or they're smaller, or they're local, which usually translates to smaller budgets. So they want to do gifted campaigns, and or maybe they've never done influencer marketing. So there might be more education and just like hand-holding versus it comes from an agency. And I'm like, okay, cool. They've done this before. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Hopefully this will work.
Yeah. And what are the things you hate to see in emails or in general? Like, what are the big mistakes or the things that they should avoid when they reach out to you to not make you angry?
So wrong names.
Yeah.
Wrong names. One of my clients, Yvette, in her Instagram bio, I think it says like Mexican food blogger or something, or Mexican foodie. And she literally gets emails that are like, hi, Mexican. Like, that's the email. You're just like, and I know sometimes it's all, bulk emails, but that right away is just like, okay. So yeah, incorrect names, misspelling of names, being vague with details. Like sometimes I'll get an email that say, hey, I'm reaching out on behalf of brand. I don't know, whatever, making up, Pepsi. We're interested in working with Jessica. Can you let me know? And I'm like, about what? Like, sure, she loves Pepsi. What are we doing? She's already partnered with them. Here's some content. Like, she did a viral video for Pepsi. What are we doing? So that's a little frustrating when it's like, don't make me work for it. Like, you're supposed to tell me that information, Those would be my red flags or annoying things.
And one thing I've heard from brands, and sometimes they feel like getting an agent, talent manager is great because then it's more structured, it's more like professional in business, compared to like just working with a creator directly. It can be a little bit like, a little bit wild. But at the same time, they know they probably have to pay a little bit more because you are involved, you have to get paid and all that. And they feel like, they want to, cut you and just get directly to the creator and get maybe a better deal. But what do you think about transparency? Are you transparent with your fees, or should, like, if you look at the industry overall, like, is it common that talent managers are very transparent with, like, I take 20%, this is the price, or what will you say is the standard in the industry, and what are your thoughts around that in general?
When you say transparent, do you mean with the brands and agencies?
More with your fees, like the talent management, the fees, like the 20%.
Right. Am I transparent with the brands and agencies about my fees?
Exactly.
Oh.
Or maybe you don't even get any questions about that.
No, I never get questions. And I think, a lot of people are like, oh, I hate working with managers because I have to pay more. I think that's actually total BS. I don't like have Yvette's or any of my clients, Lorraine's rates, and then add on 20%. I'm like, your rate is your rate.
No.
And then I earn from that. So I never talk about it with brands and agencies. I mean, they know it exists because they work with managers. So everyone's like understanding of this. I have heard of one or two agencies that have taken the fee and then they give the fee to the brand and then they'll say, whatever, like, okay, it's $10,000 for the creator and then $2,000 for us. So that's just dumb because brands want to know, just give us one number, make it easy for us.
Yeah.
Just give the 12,000 and then they can negotiate and figure out from there. So that's never come up for me. And I don't think that a lot of managers raise their rates specifically for it. I know that when brands have tried to go around me to my talent, which does happen.
Like DMing them or something.
Oh, totally. Or emailing. And then they're like, think I charge too much. Or sometimes people be like, we just don't want to work with a manager for whatever reason. They probably had some bad experience and they're just like, we've had emails that are like, we don't work with managers. Like, we want to work directly with Lorraine or Jessica. And I love my people. And they're like, no, like, it is disrespectful to their business and how they run their business. The irony is that a lot of times it's an agency reaching out And I'm like, I would never say to you as the agency, oh, I don't want to work with you, but I want to work directly with the client. Like that would never happen. And the agency's there to run the program, source the talent, do all the work. And I'm like, that's what the manager does. I'm like, oh, you want a quick response. You want content on time. You want this managed well. You want this to run according to schedule. I'm like, yeah, that's what I do. Like, I love my talent. They're amazing. But they will also tell you, like, we're not going to do that. Like, that's why Johanna's here.
Yeah.
So, you know, anytime brands go around me to my talent, they're always like, nope, you have to talk to Johanna. Like, we literally don't even want to deal with it.
Yeah.
So it happens, but I don't think it's that much.
No, I see. But okay, well, and then when it comes to negotiating, obviously they negotiate with you. What is because there's probably a lot of tactics around this. Obviously, there's no maybe price structure here, but what are the ways to get a fair deal with a creator? Would you say like what's the process there to get a good deal or just get a good partnership, like so they feel like the creator is also motivated, incentivized. I've heard a little bit tricks and tips like giving them the product and stuff like that. But yeah, tell me a little bit more like what are usually a good partnership where you guys are super happy, but also the brand feels like this is really good investment for us too.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to what you said, transparency and just open communication from the beginning as much as possible. Sometimes, no matter how amazing the creator is and how much of a perfect fit this brand may be, sometimes the brand is just like, we literally only have $10,000. Like their budget is what is what it is. It doesn't matter if they're, oh my God, but you're this huge global brand. That is irrelevant. Creators say that all the time and will complain. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. It's not like Pepsi sitting with their big pot of money and just like handing, they hire an agency who hires another agency who hires another agency who gets a pot who takes, it's like, there's so many people taking money out of these things. So people get all mad about it. And I'm like, it's not worth it. I'm more just like, what are we working with? Great, you have 10,000 available. Okay, you wanted, I don't know, a blog post, 3 TikToks, and an Instagram. Well, that's a little bit out of budget for what what the creator will be open to. But here's what we're open to for $10,000. Will we make concessions and amends and perhaps throw in more and not line item the whole thing? Absolutely. We're not going to walk away from $10,000. We're going to try and find a way to make it work, taking what they originally wanted, what the creator would offer. And then I just try and find some like happy medium, Can we offer additional usage? Can we change the exclusivity a little bit? There's lots of different things you can tweak. And so this is why I say like transparency and open communication is I will say, hey, listen, the scope that you offered, for my client Lorraine, that's $25,000. But we'd love to make this work. The product is a natural fit for her. She actually just posted about it last week. Here's what she'd love to do for $10,000. How would this work for you? So, like, just be nice and try and, I think a lot of our role as talent managers is just trying to solve problems and be super creative about how to make that work. Maybe instead of doing an Instagram and a TikTok, it's a cross post of an Instagram and a TikTok. So they're not making 2 videos. Like, there's so many different ways to kind of put the Jenga puzzle together. But I think just being nice and open, like, and honest, and transparent from the get-go. I also always hop on the phone when things are getting a little, and you feel like square peg round hole. I'm like, hey, can we just talk?
Yeah, so much easier.
Sometimes, totally. And like, I'm Gen X. I love the phone. I will talk on the phone all day, every day. And I have so many like coaching clients and other clients and people that I consult with. They're like, what do I do? And I'm like, pick up the phone and call them, because then you can say, hey, I really want to make this work. Like, what do we need to do? It's harder to convey that in an email. In a phone call, you can say, listen, here's where we can be flexible. Here's where we can't be flexible. Like, you want to get to that yes. I mean, to your point, so that the, campaign is set up to be a success. It's like, I want you to get that yes. I want you to, as the client, to know that you locked in this influencer. I want that to happen. How can we do that? Like, how can we get to that yes quickly?
Do you think it will ever be some kind of price standard structure in the industry, or
There's too many variables. No, there's too many variables.
How do you price your creators? Like what are the variables? What do you say? What do you kind of? I know you have, pretty specific prices, but they can also always be a little bit changed, like you said.
Totally.
But like, yeah, how do you set that up from the beginning? And if you think of the talent manager out there want to price their creators, what are things to look at, think about? Yeah, how do you set that up?
So because my creators are already established by the time they came to me, they already had a range of pricing for different deliverables. A lot of times you're just shooting in the breeze, and just hoping it works. Like sometimes I get emails and I'm like, I've never priced this. Like I have no idea, and I'll just ask other people. So if you're just figuring this out or just starting, the fact is you sometimes just have to pick a number. Like you literally just have to start somewhere and start trying. Are you putting that number out there and getting, oh my God, yes, that would be great. Are you getting 3 of those in a row? Okay, bump it up a little bit.
Mm.
Are you getting tons of no's and being, oh God, so sorry, that's out of budget? Okay, well then dial it back a little bit. Like it's, as you said, it's not a static number. It's very dynamic. It depends on usage. It depends on exclusivity. How long, they may want to use the content and what context, like a billboard versus reshare in socials versus a digital ad. So there's a lot of factors, which is why I don't think it could ever be standardized. And at the end of the day, I know creators are like, well, these are my rates and this is what it is. And they offended me that they didn't ask, they didn't offer me a certain price. I'm like, well, your rates are technically dictated by the market. So like the market's only willing to offer XYZ. Well, like, I don't care if you think it's worth $5,000. If everyone who has budget kind of thinks it's maybe $2,000, well, then you got to go with $2,000 or you are cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Yeah.
So, as long as people can be flexible, but my biggest piece of advice is like, you just have to start somewhere and just start trying.
Yeah. And I think that's with anything, like even with our service that we sell, like remember in the beginning, like, is this $50 per month or maybe $500? Let's try $500 and see what happens, and then we see what we get. But in general, like on from your perspective, like as a talent manager, what are the trends you see in the industry in general?
Oh, what are the trends I see?
Something interesting that you've seen.
It's so funny. I'm about to say something and I'm like, I feel like people are going to hate me for this. I just pay a lot of attention to trends. Because they kind of come and go and it's really just people's opinions on stuff that they're hypothesizing about the future. Like I've seen a couple people recently say, oh, I think social media brand collabs will be based more on a talent's audience and not their follower count.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is it though? Because I don't know if it's a trend or just a general new direction of the industry. There's much more eyes and many more metrics and analytics for reporting around how many people did you reach, how many impressions, how many views, how many saves, shares, sales, downloads, like so much more stuff that is tracked, which is tied into someone's following. And I don't think that direction of the industry and wanting all those metrics is going to change, because on the corporate business side, right, they want to know what their ROI is. They want to know what their, cost per views and all that sort of stuff. Like, I don't see brands backing away and going, you know what? It doesn't matter how many views we got. We're just so excited we spent $150,000. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. So therefore, I don't think that it's going to be based on people's audiences. That just like doesn't correlate to me. So I know that's part of the reason, like, I don't really pay a lot of attention to trends.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
I read newsletters to see what other people are saying, but like and I'm kind of like, okay, interesting, but that's it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, in then, like, I don't think there's too many crazy changes the past 1-2 years. We'll still have TikTok, we'll still have Instagram as usual.
Right.
And we're still hooked into those platforms. But yeah, and just as like a final point, like, is there anything else that you would like to share for any people out there that are into your business, like talent management? I don't know, anything that they should know about, something that you always talk about in your own content on LinkedIn?
Oh, I would say that if anyone is looking for information, like up to date, relevant, pertinent information, not churned out by some like AI thing or something, but actual, like, whether you're an up and coming influencer, how do I reach out to a brand? Like, what's the best way to say it? You're a talent manager who wants to start your own management agency. You're on the brands and agency side. Like, how do I find more diverse influencers? My LinkedIn, my website, johannavoss.com. I very intentionally, like, we said the word transparency a bunch of times. That is very much like a pillar to my brand of being as open and honest and transparent as I can, because I know there's a lot of weird resources out there, especially around like the talent management side of things. Like, how do you do that? How do you become one? Like, how do you start your own agency? How do you plan agency retreats? So I know a lot of people who come to me with those questions, it's because they're like, I literally can't find it anywhere else. So I am open. I do try and write as much content and just like share anecdotal things, and I'm constantly passing along casting calls, and I get, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 people, 5 people, 6 people a week reaching out looking for management that I'm happy to pass on. So, if you have questions, like, feel free. My DMs, my emails, my LinkedIn, everything is like, I'm happy to chat for anyone who has questions, and is just like, I can point you in the right direction for, more help, because why waste your time and money if someone else has already figured this out?
Love it. I love it. Yeah. And like you said, like, you probably don't want to have 40 people in your own talent pool. Like, you don't have that time. And you also, I think you are picky, and you have the ones that you work for, and some are maybe into a different niche and probably a great fit for someone else. But I love that. Yeah. I mean, thanks for sharing all the insights and being in the show. Super nice having you.
I love it. Yeah, thanks for having me, Pai. This is great.